position. Rise up, make that decision. God will provide all your needs. He wants you to succeed. Have faith of a mustard seed. Get up on your feet. Rise up.
Welcome to the Drexwell Seymour Show. So today I want to talk to you about setting boundaries. I don't know about you, but there was a period in my life where it was very difficult for me to say no. I say yes to everything. And I try to please people. And one of the issues with that is that it's not healthy for you. And so you need to establish boundaries for yourself. Now, when you think of boundary, I want you to think of that piece of land that you have or that piece of land you want. That land has boundaries. And so when you're going to build a house, you must, the planning laws for Turks and Caicos, dictates to you the boundaries, how much you could build from the side, how much you build from the back, how much you build from the front. So think of that as boundaries. And so you need to establish boundaries for yourself. And if you're able to establish these boundaries for yourself, you'll be in a great position to do the things within your boundary. Let's think about relationships. Many of us are in relationships. Whether you're married or not, you are in a relationship. You need to establish boundaries in your relationship. Otherwise, anyone you see that you find very attractive, you might pursue that person. And that's a big issue. We've seen married couples being separated because the spouse did not set boundaries. You became very close with your coworker. You became very close with individuals, and you end up falling in love, or you end up telling them everything about yourselves. And then you feel like, this is the person for me. My spouse or my husband or my wife, they're not fulfilling my need, but this person is. And that's because you have not established boundaries for yourself. You've allowed yourself to be open, and you fall for anything. You end up having an affair because you did not establish boundaries. Of course, people have affairs for many different reasons. But one of the reasons we do have an affair is because we have not set any boundaries in our lives. And so you fall for anything. We also need to set boundaries to establish standards for yourself. You need to have standards. And so if you have standards for yourself, then you must live and work within those standards. Now, I know some of you might not think highly of yourself, you might think little of yourself. Don't set your standards low. Set your standards as if what you want to be. That's part of your boundaries. And if you set your standards, you'll be able to know what it is that you want out of life. And you won't be able to go below it or above it. Or if you want to go above it, that's fine. But don't go below your standards. And that's where your boundaries come in. Because if you do not set standards for yourself, you'll fall for anything. You need to know that you are very important. Nobody is better than you. You need to know that. And so it's important that you set standards. And you also need to let people know where you stand. Because when people do not know where you stand, they'll try you. And if you continue to fall for whatever they try you on, they'll continue to use you and they'll continue to abuse you. Just be upfront with individuals. Let them know where you stand. And if you tell them where you stand, they may try you a second time, but if you put them in their place, they won't do it again. But many of us have been very passive. We've allowed people to use us. We find it very difficult to say no. We find it easy to please people. And so people just use you because you have not told them your position. But the moment you say, listen, I don't do that. I don't deal with that. That's not who I am. Just be upfront. For example, some people might come to you with gossiping. And we know gossiping is something that is prevalent among human beings. It's not just in Turks and Caicos, it's everywhere. People gossip everywhere. But you need to set boundaries. Someone comes to you with gossip, with news, you just say, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Because sooner or later, you will find yourself getting involved in this gossip. You'll find yourself spreading gossip. You'll find yourself betraying your friends, your family, because you got tangled in this gossip. And that's because you didn't set boundaries for yourself. I hope you realize now what I'm trying to say. Set boundaries for yourself. Because you don't, you're going to come out of your boundary, and it's going to become illegal. It's going to become very dangerous. It's like your house. If you build outside of your boundaries, guess what? If planning comes by your property and see that you build outside your boundary, you're going to have to take that entire building down. So it's best that you stay within the boundary. The safest thing to do with your life is to stay within your boundary. Of course, your boundaries do not have to be permanent. I mean, your boundaries may change from time to time. But whatever your boundaries are at the moment, try to be within those boundaries. And as time goes by, as you get more experience, as you get more knowledge, as you come aware of more information, you might change certain things about your boundaries. That's fine. But for now, whatever it is, stay within it. It will help you to achieve your goals in life. And if you set boundaries for yourself, listen, you wouldn't even be distracted. A lot of us are distracted by so many things because we're trying to be like somebody else, or we want to get on that other person's boundary. But if you set your boundaries and you know where you are headed to and where you want to be in, you won't be distracted. And so I encourage you today to set boundaries for yourself. You may say, how do I set boundaries? You need to know what it is you want out of life. You need to know what it is that you want. And once you determine what it is you want, you set your goals, and these are the boundaries. This is what you're going to live with. Because you're going to find yourself falling for anything. Imagine you've been waiting for a relationship with someone, and you've been single for a very long time. You already have your boundaries set. This is what you want. But because you've been waiting for so long, you end up taking anyone that comes by your way. Don't do it. That's not the character. That's not the criteria you had for the person in your relationship. So don't accept anybody. And that's why it's important for you to set boundaries, because boundaries allow you to make the right decisions. Because you've established this. This is what you want. This is your criteria. This is your boundary. And I'm not going to go out of this boundary, because if I go out of this boundary, I'm going to get in trouble. It's going to cost me a lot. So stay within your boundary. Set your boundaries. And remember, set high standards for yourself. I know things might not look possible for you right now, and perhaps you have these boundaries set so high. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what it is that you want out of life. Set it, go for it, achieve it. And with that said, I want to encourage you today to set your boundaries. Live within your boundaries. Before I end, I want to remind you as well to be content with what you have. Sometimes we go out of our boundaries, we end up committing crimes. You're on a job, and there's a hole there where you could steal from your company. Set boundaries. Tell yourself, this is not my money. This money belongs to the clients. This money belongs to my company. Set your boundaries. Control yourself. You might be waiting for a while, but that's okay. Wouldn't you rather wait than to make a premature decision, than to do something out of your boundary? I'd rather wait. So I encourage you today to set your boundaries, go for it, don't settle for less, and you will be successful. So rise up and take your position.